This is a whole chuck roll. The tail has been removed from the side of the chuck roll, which is also where the chuck flap would have attached. The Latin name of this muscle is the serratus ventralis, and this is the same muscle that can be found in the chuck flap, the chuck short ribs, and the plate short ribs. If we flip this so you can see the other end, you will find the longissimus dorsi and the spinalis muscles, which are also found on a ribeye. There are many ways to merchandise a chuck roll, as this is a very versatile subprimal. We're going to walk you through a few different cuts that we could get from this chuck roll. To start, we need to remove any bones or excessive connective tissue which may be on the top or bottom of the chuck roll. You then need to remove a thin muscle called the subscapularis muscle, which sometimes will come attached to the serratus ventralis. Next, you can find the seam between the serratus ventralis and the longissimus dorsi to separate the chuck eye roll from the underblade. Once they have been separated, we will first focus on merchandising opportunities for the chuck eye roll. Keep in mind that this cut was positioned right up against the rib. Therefore, when we separate the chuck from the rib, if they were to remove their knife just a little bit closer to the chuck, then the front portion of these steaks could have been left on the rib and sold as a ribeye steak. We say all of this to point out that this portion of the chuck eye roll is very similar to a ribeye and should be merchandised as a premium cut. So to start, I would recommend cutting 2 to 3 steaks off the front of the chuck eye roll to sell as these chuck eye steaks. As you make your way further into the chuck roll, the muscles start to change. Once these steaks no longer look like ribeyes, you may consider cutting boneless, country-style short ribs instead of those chuck eye steaks. These are cut about 2 inches thick, and then you turn your knife so that you can butterfly them open. You could continue cutting these boneless country-style short ribs down the entire chuck eye roll, or you could stop and merchandise the remaining portion as your traditional chuck roast. This particular roast can look extremely premium if you cut the remainder in half and then tie the 2 pieces together with the leanest side pointing outward. Now moving on to the underblade, you could easily split this into smaller portions and market them as additional chuck roast. However, you could also take apart a few different muscles to create some other non-traditional options. To do this, first you need to locate the small splenius muscle. The splenius muscle resembles a flank steak, and it actually performs very similarly as well. You may also hear this muscle referred to as the Sierra steak. Once this muscle has been trimmed, you can remove the rhomboideus muscle, which is the neck hump. This particular muscle is also very tough and should be mechanically tenderized either by cubing or grinding. At this point, the only muscle remaining on the underblade is the serratus ventralis muscle. Once trimmed, this can be cut into 2 pieces. However, you can see that the muscle fibers are running in different directions. Therefore, we recommend making the initial cut parallel with the muscle fibers so that you have 2 large roasts. These roasts could be merchandised as boneless short ribs, or they could be cut into Denver steaks. Denver steaks are best if cut about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick, and because they have a little bit more connective tissue, they perform best when cooked to a medium degree of doneness. Because of the high levels of marbling in the serratus ventralis, Denver steaks have such a tremendous flavor and will pair well with many other sides and dishes. The ends and pieces that are too small to be cut for Denver steaks can be cut into cubes and would be great for kebabs or stew. To summarize, you can see how versatile the chuck roll is. From the chuck eye roll, we have 3 outstanding chuck eye steaks, a few boneless country-style short ribs, and an exceptional chuck roast. From the underblade, we have the Sierra steak, some cuts we can use to make cube steaks, the subscapularis, which keep in mind is not always attached to the chuck roll, some delicious Denver steaks, and lastly, some beef for stew or kebabs. You can also see that by using this alternative merchandising strategy, we have minimized trim and maximized yield.